Broadcasting live from the Jersey Shore, it's Coach Kev on the Damage 365 Radio Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Damage 365 Radio. This is episode number 4 and our 100th anniversary show for our very small history. So, congratulations to everybody. I'm Coach Kev, along with JT, who's actually live in the house, and Nick DeBeard, who's with us via satellite. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Kev. Thank you.
And we love being here.
And we are also joined by our special guest, guest number 1 today. He is a former ECW original and one of the Spanish Baldies. We'd like to welcome one of the ECW bad boys, Angel Medina. Welcome to the show, Angel.
Hey, how you doing, man? How's everything?
Everything's going good. I mean, it's just like the name ECW. It's never, ever going to die. You just can't. You can't go any arena without hearing at some point an ECW chant, and that's got to make you smile.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It always makes me smile, especially when I do shows and stuff like that, and the fans chant that ECW, and the thing never dies, man. I mean, it's a legend. It's an institution. I mean, it is what it is, man. You can't kill it. Vince tried it.
Well,
you're going to hear a lot of ECW chants tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean tonight being the Royal Rumble, so you're gonna hear a lot. Rumors circulating, flying all over the place that we might see some former ECW buddies of yours at the Rumble. We won't throw those names out there because we don't like to put rumors out there unless we know they're to be 100% true. Right now we're speculating, so. We don't want to be a dirt sheet.
Well, I totally understand. I know. You don't want to say the Dangerous Alliance with Bill Wiles and C.W. Anderson. Oh, wait a minute. Don't want to say that.
All right, Angel, we got some questions for you. We're going to start it off the way we always start off with our guests because we like to get into the minds of our guests that are wrestlers and find out, why they do what they do. So. How did you get involved?
I understand.
How did you get involved in wrestling? Like, what caused you to decide one day, like, you know what, I want to be a wrestler?
Well, it's just like anybody, man. I was a fan. I mean, it is what it is. I was a fan since I was a kid. I got into it in junior high school during the time of I went to junior high school 125 when I was IS 125 in Sunnyside, Queens. Mm-hmm. And a buddy of mine, Peter, gave me Pro Wrestling Illustrated. On the cover was the Four Horsemen. I was 14 years old, and he showed me the magazine. He showed me, brother, you got to watch Clash of the Champions. You got to get into it. It's on TBS. You got to watch it. It's a great show. And I told him to give it a chance. And then ever since I saw that, it was with Sting and Ric Flair, and I just got hooked.
I mean, to see the Four Horsemen. I mean, to grow up and right away be introduced to the Four Horsemen is pretty cool because I remember growing up and the only way that you can get wrestling news was through PWI, and it was always a month late. It'd come out in July, but you'd be reading about what happened in June, and they would always have those fantasy matchups: Ric Flair versus Hogan, who would win? Arn Anderson versus Randy Savage, who would win? And you never ever thought in the life that you would ever see it actually happen. But that, to me, that was the greatest part of wrestling because it was all you got to use your imagination, the element of surprise. There wasn't the internet, and to me it was just so much more fun watching wrestling then.
Yeah, I mean there was no internet, man. I used to remember getting stuff in the mail. I mean just news sheets and the magazines, and I can't remember. I don't know if there was a hotline, if I recall. I mean, that's all I can remember. It was just nothing like, telephone, telegram, telewrestler. I mean, it was just either, carrier pigeon or word of mouth. That's how you found out what was going on. I mean, there was no such thing as Twitter at the time, or, Facebook or all that stuff to get you all your wrestling news and,
I remember the
stuff like that.
The NWA hotline used to be able to call for like 13 cents a minute and listen to live feeds. I remember, getting a WWF magazine and buying junk out of the catalogs, and I mean, it was just a different age of wrestling. I mean, people don't understand. Who would you say?
Oh, absolutely, man.
Who would you say, once you were in the business, who would you say, like, maybe it was your biggest influence?
Myself. My biggest influence, to be honest with you, was Johnny Rods.
Okay.
I mean, he never, he influenced me. He was like a father figure. He still is. I mean, he always gave me great advice. He never steered me wrong. I mean, there was sometimes he gave me some weird advice, like, the Spanish Angel, really. Johnny used to come up with these names, and he'd be like, the originally name for me was going to be the Spanish Flamingo, straight shoot.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I had a thin mustache, I was real skinny, and he goes, hey, I can see you at the Spanish Flamingo. And I'm like, really?
Well, I'm glad he didn't
really,
go,
Johnny?
I'm glad he didn't go with that.
Oh, dude, I hated that. And then he went with the Spanish Angel. I even hated that. You know why I was this is exactly why he called me the Spanish Angel. He goes, Angelo. He always called me Angelo. And I'm Puerto Rican, but I'm not Italian. Angelo. You remember the French Angel? Ain't that the ugly motherfucker that was in, what the fuck? That's you, the Spanish Angel. I'm going to call you the Spanish Angel. You're calling me an ugly motherfucker, Johnny. I mean, and I hated that name, But eventually, as I was wrestling on the independents, it just stuck with me, and I got used to it. So now I like it. But back then I hated it. But he was my most influential, guy in my corner was Johnny. He always invited me to his house. He always took care of me. He told me how to eat, how to work out, how to plan my bookings. Anything I wanted to know, he was there for me.
And you got to admire and kind of feel bad for a guy like Johnny Rods, because he's taken many, probably too many bumps to the head. So sometimes he might not even know what he's saying.
Who, Johnny?
Yeah.
Nah, he's still there. He's still out there, man. That guy is as sharp as a tack. I mean, he might not have all his teeth, but he's still sharp as a tack.
Nice. Nick, you have a question?
Yeah. During your time, just from your whole career, what's your proudest moment in the business in general?
My proudest moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In my whole wrestling career?
Hmm?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many proud moments, man. But I mean, of course, there's going to be ECW. I mean, I didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't think I was, anything special. But I mean, Paul saw that in me, So I was proud. I mean, as I got there, I didn't think I was going to get a push or get any opportunity. But then when the Ball Leaf came and we started doing pay-per-views, I was proud, especially with DeVito and Big Vito and, in the mix, But then when Vito went to WCW, it was me and DeVito, who, is one of the best partner, the only partner that I had is, I was proud of that, because we worked so hard being on ring crew, busting our ass, traveling on the road, paying our dues, getting beat up by New Jack and then tearing down the ring and then going to the next town and then still pushing forward and being ready to work, it was just a lot of balls, man. I mean, it was hard. It was hard doing ring crew and then getting your ass kicked all the time,
I would imagine.
Angel, JT here. I got a question myself. Can you tell me how the Spanish Baldies came about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Baldies, what happened with the Baldies was, I can't remember what town we were in. I want to say Michigan. but you probably can confirm that with DeVito. But it was Tommy. Tommy came to me and DeVito in the locker room, and no, you know what? I'm sorry. It was in Staten Island. It was in Staten Island, and Tommy came up to me and he goes, "I have an idea." You know, me and Paul came up with this idea, and we want to see if it'll go, it'll fly. And he brought up the Baldies. He goes, "You guys, since we're of course bald, he goes, you guys remind us of the Fordham Baldies, and we want to start a faction, with a group like that. And I think you and DeVito and Big Vito at the time, will fit." Because if you look, it was like Rob Price, PN News, it was just so many people going in and out, but it was like really stuck with between me, DeVito, and Vito. But then Vito went to WCW to do the Mama Luke's. Then it was just me and DeVito. So after Vito left, it was just us. So it came up between Paul and Tommy. So I don't know who came up with the idea, how it flourished. But I know it was them sitting down together and coming up with this idea. But I don't know who came up with the Baldies. Like, before the Baldies, was it Paul? Was it Tommy? I don't know. That's something you got to talk to them.
It's funny that you mentioned Staten Island because JT and myself were originally from Staten Island. And I went to numerous shows to see you guys in Staten Island in Sports Fest, the indoor roller hockey rink bubble. And
yeah, that's where it was at.
I know. We actually had I told this story to like every ECW guy that we interviewed. We actually had a hockey game and a tag team match between Axel Rotten and I'm not really sure who his partner was. They were taking on the Dudleys, and it spilled onto the hockey rink. And my not too intelligent brother skated over, handed over his hockey stick. Devon whacked it over Axel's back, broke it in half, and needless to say, my brother sat out the rest of the game because he didn't have a stick. So it's I remember it because like when you guys came to Staten Island, because Staten Island never had anything like crazy or remotely fun. So when you guys came there,
but I used to do a lot of before ECW. I used to do a lot of I remember doing like 2 shows at the Sports Fest doing indies.
Yeah.
For Johnny, and I remember I wrestled Sergeant Slaughter there, and I do remember another show, but I can't recall who I wrestled at the time.
Yeah,
but I remember I wrestled one time Sergeant Slaughter.
With wrestling, people don't remember it. Between Wagner College, Wagner High School, they used to house a lot of WWE house shows. People don't know it. I was there for a lot of them. Got to see a lot of the guys, unfortunately, that aren't around anymore. Paul Heyman. Describe Mr. Heyman in I would say 2 words, but give me your best description of Paul Heyman.
Paul, my best description, a genius. A god in wrestling. He knows what he's doing. He's like the character in The Devil's Advocate, the Al Pacino character. He was a guy that just he was a dude that was like, if it was 50 people outside the building and he goes, "Hey," and there was only 2 of us, he goes, "You 2 guys are the most baddest motherfuckers on the planet, and I know you guys can go out there and kick those 50 guys' ass." He'll convince you enough to go out there and make an attempt. He had that, I don't know, he was just like a general, and he just knew what to say and know how to talk and made you feel invincible. So, Paul just had that talent in him that he could just convince anybody to do whatever they want in the ring,
You see it now with him at WWE, just how he masters the microphone, and he just has the crowd kind of in the palm of his hands, and it's amazing. It just
doesn't even have to say anything.
Yeah, he literally does.
He knows what he's doing.
He doesn't have to say anything.
He knows what he's doing.
He comes down the stage and like everybody's just focused on him before he even says a word.
He has the gift of gab. He knows how to. He knows how to, get the people upset. He knows. He's just a talented manager, a boss. He has the brains, man. He has the brains behind, and especially with Brock Lesnar with him. It's just awesome. You know, I mean, I got nothing against Paul. I mean, he gave me my opportunity. I mean,